Hey everybody, welcome back to Cultist Simulator. We have unfortunately lost the story of Dr. Jonathan Reed, the physician. So now we have a chance to start a new legacy. Just like when we died with our first character, the detective here, I am an inspector in the Capitol's police, charged with the investigation of the most vile and wretched things that one human does to another. This is always available after you have lost a game due to being found guilty by the police. Bright young thing, endowed from birth with wealth and talent, a life of ease, comfort, and delight stretches ahead like an amber carpet. And then the exile, no one steals from a reckoner, Lord, and yet I did. I had my reasons. I believe, so the Exile is one of the DLCs that was added later on. Bright Young Thing, I think, is part of the base game. But I think for right now, we're going to stick with this concept of kind of jumping naturally through the progression. So if we start with the detective, this is kind of like, you know, Jonathan Reed was found guilty of all these very suspicious cult activities. And now he's left some evidence that's going to be attainable by our new character at the inspector's office. I have ended the careers of thieves, murderers, blackmailers, arsonists. Some criminals do worse still, and on some mornings, my hands have been known to tremble. All right, so we need a name for our detective. What's a good detective name? Cliff Hastings. It's a good detective-y sounding name. Detective Hastings here. I'm looking to start a cult. All right, so back in business, we have our inspector's position, reason, and health. Let's go ahead and start getting our layout done up. We're going to start by working in the investigator's office. Once again, I have been seconded to the Suppression Bureau, the government office which concerns itself with occult crimes. The Bureau has a poor reputation. All right. Actually gonna move this in because we need room for Dream and stuff. The Bureau has identified a troublesome individual. I am to investigate. My breath tightens when I see the name. There was another case, one I remember all too well. All right, so we have received some funds. We have a bonus fatigue that needs to be kind of brought back to the fore. And then what do we got here? A sealed Bureau file, Rose, a troublemaker. So we can go right back to work. Unlike our position at the doctor's office, it looks like this one is on a cooldown. So, or not a cooldown, it's on a timer. So if we don't show up, that's probably an issue. Rose, a troublemaker. Rose has long since ceased to fear her enemies. She is a maverick. A rival's ascension. Oh, so this isn't a detective may wish to investigate this. So she doesn't look like she's a contact. She looks like she's actually someone we're like hunting down. The sealed Bureau file. A file on the enigmatic Jonathan Reed. I sealed it myself. I am all too familiar with its contents. If I were to revisit them, the dreams may begin again. So we did unlock dreaming. This is time passes, which we will shunt over into the corner. And then we are currently dreaming. The Suppression Bureau publishes memoranda on the dangers of dreams. Every week, there is another. Let's go ahead and read through our packet of evidence on Jonathan. This is evidence. We do not burn evidence, but perhaps it is for the best. So we're burning the file of all the information on Jonathan Reed. We did pretty well with that run. Kind of a bummer to see it come to such an abrupt end. I really did not think that our single our single hunter coming after us was going to be able to yield enough evidence to derail the whole thing, but I guess now we know to take that perhaps a bit more seriously. I'm investigating her, it looks like, so I'd be interested to see what we wind up doing with that. Report dreams of moonlight. Report dreams of a night-bound forest. Draw back your curtains to be woken by the sun. Do not cut your hair before you sleep. Never sleep before a cracked mirror. So that has gifted us with our first dose of passion. Investigating the file of Dr. Reed has given us a contentment, a restlessness. Oh, I didn't read the text. Shoot. Burning bureau file. It's almost gone. I could pluck it from the flames. Interesting. But what would that do? It was the right decision, and yet there may still be time enough to study the file before it's gone forever. Oh, because we don't have study unlocked. Interesting. So when you work as the inspector, it's much like when you work using the cult. So let's investigate our target using reason. And I'm not entirely sure. We might have missed out on a golden opportunity because we didn't wait for study. I burnt this file. Yeah, so I hope that doesn't completely derail what we were supposed to have gained from Jonathan Reed. If you remember, we gained a bunch of stuff early with Jonathan because we were able to study his notes about Baker logs. So I might have just completely cocked up the start of this, which is a bummer. We do get our bonus health. We're dreaming about nothing. Yeah, this has yielded a very slow start. Hopefully we get kind of a similar boost from investigating, what's her name? Rose? Maybe by investigating her, we'll learn something of the occult. That's pretty disappointing. You know, that's one of the things that kind of comes with the territory with this game, though, right? You try some stuff and sometimes it burns you and sometimes it doesn't. This dread, sadly, showed up right as our contentment disappeared. We unlocked study as soon as we finished our case with her, so that sucks. I would have literally been only moments away from studying it. The constant clatter of closing doors, the damp stains on the station walls, the smell of boot polish and unwashed constables. All this narrows to a single crystalline truth. I've made progress and earned myself some overtime pay. So we have some tentative evidence against Rose at our inspector's position. Ooh, which pays pretty well. We got 3 funds out of that. It does dim our reason, however, so we can't just kind of over and over rail against her. So I don't understand, are we playing the opposite side? When you play as the inspector, do you genuinely try and derail the occult? Now and then I have a little time to improve myself. Probably almost immediately study some reason so that we can have 2 of those on rotation for going in and doing shifts at the office. Our tentative evidence against Rose, I suppose we can work once we have our reason back. We're gonna move you over as well. This yielded a new dread, which is a bummer. So we got 2 of those floating around. We'd love to get our hands on some ways to get rid of that. No doubt somewhere out there I can find materials for study. Beautiful. So we got a reason back. We will immediately go to work then. And now we're going to study Rose. We can't do anything with our evidence. Work, Rose, reason. The more reason I use, the better my chance of success. More reason will give my investigation a better chance of success. More reason. Okay, well, hang on. So let's wait until our other reason has popped up then. We do have Explore now made available. Which has yielded Talk. Get this back into the configuration we used previously. So I found Moreland's shop and the auction house. Interesting. So I guess the concept is just that I kind of learn a little bit just from poking around. We have a Restlessness, which is going to turn into another Dread. So Cliff is not really in a good way. Man. I don't love any of that. Let's study a passion to at least get some of our other stats started upwards. Now with 2 reasons available, yet again, let's go and investigate Rose. The more reason I use, the better chance of success. I don't understand though, because like it got me an evidence, but like what do I do with it? It's on the board, but it doesn't give me an opportunity. I might make a friendship or end one. Interrogate, intimidate, beguile, recruit. So maybe after we're done investigating, maybe we can go talk to her with the evidence at hand. This is going to pull in fascination, so we don't have to be terrified of that just yet. We do need some contentment though to get rid of this dread that's accumulating. We might need to do some opium naps. Oof, yeah, three dreads enough to end the game. So, not ideal. All right, this should give us a glimmering. So we need to search one more time with this because 2 glimmerings will yield our next level of passion and give us the passion scholarship. All right. Same text from our work before. We get back Rose, our job, more tentative evidence, and some funding. So now I wonder if we can talk to Rose and talk to her about the evidence. Yeah, okay. So wait, let's actually talk to her about the other evidence since that has less time on the timer. Just see what this does. Maybe it'll goad her into something that yields some results for us. We could start going to Moreland's. I mean, I guess there's no harm in me starting to accumulate some books. We know we're going to want them eventually anyway. And we found out that if you buy out Moreland's, you get a better headquarters. So the sooner I can buy through Moreland's stock, the better shape we're in. I do have to be somewhat careful though, because the funding, even though we get more funds per time worked with Detective Hastings, it's not as steady. I can't just restart it because we need enough reason to be able to go to work. And we need a subject to study, I would think. I can't just start this without, right? I wonder what happens if we try and start it and I don't have a target. Collection of poetry, which is not very occult. So right now, just a normal book. Oh, I didn't actually start that Explore. What do we got here? Old, unhappy, far off things. Is that another dread getting ready to pop? That would be unfortunate. Put in our glimmerings here to get our rank up on passion. We did lose one of our dreads, so that's fine. All right, so by talking to her, a guarded conversation and an early opening coffee shop in the rain-swept, wind-shivering after dawn. I've learned nothing. Huh. All right, so that didn't yield any results. I mean, so why am I racking up all this tentative evidence? When we did it, or when we had it done against us. Oh, okay. So now I can investigate the evidence. I don't have to investigate her again. Okay, so I've thrown 2 evidence, or I've thrown 2 reason against upgrading that evidence. So this should turn it into a damning evidence, which is what ended our time playing as Jonathan Reed. Yeah, so maybe we're playing the opposite. I don't understand this. Like, eventually there's got to be a moment where we are pulled into the occult side and the student becomes the master, as it were. The Burning of the Unburnt God, composed by Hosti Tasman from oral traditions in rural Persia. All right, so we do have something we can go study. I don't think we're going to go buy another book straight away here because, as I said, funding is becoming a bit of a concern. And our health is a concern. Not off to a great start here, Cliff Hastings. Gonna be real honest with you, bud. No real need to keep pushing against Rose, I guess, if we can investigate the evidence we have, because we should be able to get another round of investigation done. We will, however, take our extra passion, and now we have our passion upgrade skill. Yeah, so we got... My investigation has turned up no new leads. Do we still get paid? We do, but only 2 funding. Okay, that's kind of a bummer. I guess let's go ahead and study... No, you know what? Because health is so low, we need a vitality to be able to get that other health back, and then we should probably study health enough to upgrade our health stat. Because with just 2 there, you're in kind of a rough spot. So we have an affliction. We can dream about our affliction with money, but we can also do it with our vitality that's going to come out of studying a health. Exotic cravings. So this normally pulls in our temptation when we're playing in a cult, but as the detective here, it just pulled in Rose, our rival. That's interesting. Here is another who would ascend before me. Independent occultists will try to monopolize the attention of the hours. They may also conduct other schemes, whether you like it or not. What? I am so confused. Like, shockingly confused considering how confusing this game already is. We need our reason back before this is going to pay any dividends. We are going to, at some point here, we're going to want to upgrade and get a 3rd reason, if for no other purpose than to make sure we can investigate with 3. What the hell is this one? All right, so the rivalry is set, I guess. She disappeared. No, she's just in here now. A rival is considering an expedition. My rival seeks tools and lore for their own ascension. It is the empty space which makes the bowl useful. So there's an aspect vault. So we know she's going on an expedition, but what does it magnet up? If I had a vault, would she steal it from me, I guess? So maybe that's like, maybe that's the punishment for sitting on him, like what we were doing last game. All right, there's our vitality. So let's immediately get you set. We need 2 lessons learned to gain more passion. We only need 2 erudition to gain another reason. But right now they're kind of stuck, locked into us continuing to work. So we're gonna have to pause on that a moment here. Our exotic cravings don't have anything to pull in. We're almost running out of funds too. We gotta, let's hope this one advances so that we can get the 3 payday out of it. Otherwise, I don't know if we can stay in front of time passing. This is a much harder start than what the physician was. Another restlessness. While we're waiting for that reason to pop, I guess we could paint with our restlessness to get it off the board and also maybe turn it into a painting. I guess. Really wish we had not burnt the file about Jonathan Reed. That's a bummer. All right, so we have our cultist back. Yes, okay, so we've made some progress. We got some overtime. So now do we have a damning evidence? We do have a damning evidence, which also yielded a tentative evidence. Okay, got 3 gold out of it. What's our timer on this? That went back to a full 5 minutes. So let's, while we're waiting for reason to cool down, let's go ahead and do a painting. Sometimes, you know, after you've worked a big case, Cliff Hastings likes to just take a day for him. Sit at the house, he'll stare out into the garden, maybe paint a little bit. We do get our health back from having dreamed that. Let's do another health study because we can turn these 2 vitality into another health, which will give us a much needed cushion. And then I think we have to just bite the bullet. We're going to ride these funds a little bit, let them get pulled into the passage of time, because we do need to get our reason up. I'd like to investigate this damning evidence with a 3 reason trip to the office. That would be ideal. So this restlessness won't get a chance to turn into dread, which is fine. And then maybe even get a contentment out of this painting, which would also be good. We lost a tentative evidence. That's fine. We can generate more. It's weird that, like, we're kind of playing the bad guy, quote unquote. I mean, I know that they're not actually the bad guy. We did get a contentment. So let's put that. I think that'll get sucked into this once it's done eating that dread. Study is almost done. How much time do you have? Plenty. So let's do this. 120. I'm going to do this in a staggered order here, because what I'm going to do is study 1 reason. We need to go back to work before we lose our job. I can't imagine it's going to be enough with a damning evidence. Let's just study her with 1 reason, which is what we've done previous. We'd love any kind of funding, even if it's just the 2. Funding out of that is fine because it lets us kind of cool our heels. That'll soak up my contentment and make that disappear. Another contentment on the board. I'll take it. Contentment, not contentment. This passion's going to be back in play momentarily. I have so many less moving parts right now than our last several hours playing, but yet somehow it feels like the stakes are higher. I mean, I guess that's partially just because in the beginning you have a much narrower margin of error. But I definitely, I feel a lot of pressure as Cliff Hastings to not bone and bungle this all up. All right, so we're going to get back an erudition and another reason. Turned up no new leads, but that's fine because we do get paid. And then now we can go back to work with a simple reason again while this one's on cooldown. So that's kind of the benefit of having a bunch of reason. We will go ahead and study our 2 vitality to get our health upgrade. So that's interesting. I'm being investigated. Rife with journalists and investigators. So here you are investigating the investigator? Is that what we're looking at? Fleeting reminiscence. We do have to be somewhat quick because our damning evidence is going to disappear. I actually don't think we're going to have to study this at least once just to make sure that its cooldown stays enough that we can get all 3 reasons on the board. It might still not be enough if I'm honest. Maybe the better move here is to immediately study this tentative evidence to see if we can get that to upgrade. Another contentment. I don't quite know how I'm supposed to break into the occult. Well, that's not true, right? Like, I think I do know how I'm supposed to break into the occult side, and I think I just screwed it up. We'll take our health and our strength there. So we do need to study reason again in order to get our another permanent reason. Like, we need to be able to do that with the erudition. Reason. Wait, how did I oh, because I'm studying her. I don't want to study her. I want to study the evidence. That's what I keep screwing up. Okay, so that's fine. I'm really just using that as a placeholder to make sure that we're not killing that cooldown. Although it doesn't matter, because these two are going to be on the same cooldown. I'm just going to have to chain that forever, and that's never going to give me a chance to study my reason and gain. I think I've actually already goofed it up so that my erudition isn't going to be timed out correctly. And that's brutal. We can't study it because it's dimmed. Yeah, I think I boned that up. We're going to have to kind of start from square one. We can build more evidence. I guess I shouldn't have been as panicked about letting the evidence time out, because we can keep studying her. That's still generating funds, and it's giving us evidence that we can then use. So just slight tweaks in the gameplay loop, like tweaking and changing how we are going about our work cycle here with Cliff, kind of completely got me on tilt. I've turned over my evidence to the Assistant Director General of the Suppression Bureau. At this moment, I can assume hard-faced men in plain clothing are pounding on the door of my quarry. Oh, so by doing it with damning evidence and passing, they've brought her in. So I guess we've levied like an official accusation, as it were. So that's going to go for another minute. So there's no reason to not use our secondary reason right now to go and generate an erudition. Man, sorry, Rose. Shouldn't have been a troublemaker. The only problem with this, like this multi-stage thing with the work, is that because the number of funds it brings in isn't reliable and it takes longer, it makes amassing funds much more difficult. Like, I can't, when we played as the physician, you could just basically do it like clockwork. If we needed funds, we just made sure that we were doing we were just doing work on a cycle. I don't get that luxury with the detective. Erudition is going to disappear before I can use it, which is a bummer. Oh, by 0.1 seconds? Get out of here with that. The Suspicion Bureau holds their trials in closed court, and they are not merciful. My quarry disappears from the world. I have earned myself a promotion. Interesting. We have a favor from authority, our dimmed reason. Yo, that was worth 7 funds? Get out of here. Okay. So this is, I'm clicking on it too many times. Evidence includes the kind of details that might make one lick one's lips if one were interested in such things. I should not read it. The dreams might begin again. So we could burn this file. I have a senior position in the Capitol's police force, although I have been seconded to the Suppression Bureau. So if we study this troubling file, instead of us learning what we needed to learn about Jonathan Reed, it sounds as though instead I'll be able to learn about Rose. But now I'm kind of questioning whether or not we don't just rack up a ton of funding first, right? Like, if going through that loop means that we can put together a bankroll, that is also perhaps a thing worth pursuing, because it looks like it's generating another culprit for me to go after. How much time is on that? 60 seconds. So our other reason will be back in time for us to use that to keep our position. Okay, well, at least they don't stick you into a broken, like a broken save file. where because you burnt your documents, you can't progress. Because that would have been a real bummer. Let's wait until everything here is timed out so that we can go back to work and have a new target with which to work that verb. Now we do get our second erudition, so we'll go ahead and study those because this will yield a fresh reason and give us an additional reason in the loop. Hey, here's Pope Clifton. He was in our cult. Was Rose in our cult? I don't think she was. All right, so now where'd he go? Oh, he's down here. So we can investigate him. Gonna really put the screws to you, Popey. I hope this isn't backfiring in the sense that like these people are gonna disappear. Like it said she disappeared from the world. Does that mean I can't recruit them into the cult? Are they limited? We had that like generic one last game. They're rivals though. So if he's already a rival, does it mean that I'd be able to convert him into an acolyte? The detective has easily been the most confusing of the playthroughs. But interesting, like it plays differently enough. I kind of was dreading having to go back through the early portions of like forming the cult. It's interesting that this little tweak has led to such a different formative experience. All right, I think it's time to study our bureau file. We do get our freshly printed reason, and we have our scholarship skill with which to generate more. Decent funding there. We did get a tentative evidence. So let's investigate that just to keep the work verb working. Sorry, Pope. And then I guess let's study the file. I must not read it again. It took me weeks to forget the accounts, the instructions. God help me. The sketches. I should not open the file. I mean, I think it's time we open the file. We're doing it. This is our opportunity. Another fleeting reminiscence. Can we just talk to Pope? Are we enemies? Perhaps we don't have to be. Let's just talk to Pope Clifton. We'll use like a little thing about our names as an icebreaker. Cliff Hastings? Pope Clifton? Huh? That would almost assure that we're enemies. I wonder what we're going to get from this. I hope it's like... I mean, I guess it could just be like a bunch of dread and fascination. Maybe this is not the big jump forward that I'm thinking it's going to be. I like how we went to go talk to him at the same time that we're putting together more evidence against him. I didn't even think of that. That's kind of backhanded. All right, so we did get a fascination because it immediately jumped over into a trembling in the air. No new leads in our investigation. The pages turn so easily. It's like peeling a fruit or unwrapping a secret gift. At the end of it, my hands are stained with ink. My brain boils. What have I begun? So I was right. It actually did. It gave us a dread and a fascination and... Aha! Temptation, enlightenment. So this is the temptation that we needed to kind of start everything up. Should I dedicate myself to my purpose or focus my efforts elsewhere? So we are going to dream on you. We can do it with either vitality or passion. Oh, wait. Or a lore. So this lets us decide. Okay, but we don't have a lore yet. So let's see if we can find a lore. Tasman hypotheses a pre-Zoroastrian fire deity whose rites were the rites of the Smiths. So this will almost assuredly give us a smith lore, a forge lore. And I guess we can go back to work with the tentative evidence and 2 reason to see if we can progress that. Our fleeting reminiscence has been fed into a tremble in the air. I thought the dread would have gone to it. That's interesting. I would have rather the dread went to it, if I'm honest. Nothing came of our conversation with Pope Clifton. Just some mystique. We've been seen carousing with suspected cultists. We are sitting on bango funds from having closed the case, so I guess we should start going back to the well with Morelands. I think it's interesting that we got the favor from authority for closing that case too. I want you guys to move out by 1 so I have a different spot to put these. All right, what do we got going on here? I've decided to remain as I am for now. So it must be that reflecting on this with a lore is how you activate it. I think that's how you start forming your cult. Switching it to passion or health sounds like it's more likely to change your temptation. Tasman ultimately concludes with apparent reluctance that the deity was a goddess. He suggests that its gender may have been the cause of its suppression. The rites described are often eerie and sometimes grisly. So we already have a rite, which is a card type that we have yet to find any use for. Let's move Pope up here because he's not especially useful. We do have a level 2 forge lore. So do we sleep? Do we form a forge cult? I don't know what the difference between the cults is. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Why not? It's the first thing we have available. Fresh off our encounter with these maddening manuscripts. An opportunity to advance. All right, so we have gotten a tentative and a damning evidence underway again. So let's let our reason here kind of recharge. And then I think we are going to take that damning evidence to court. Traveling at Night, Volume 1. So yeah, let's immediately study you. The wood lies outside the walls of the mansis. Any student of history knows the mansis has no walls. This may give us a way into mansis, which would be a good start. What do we got here? Fleeting reminiscence. I wish that had eaten our dread, because it left the dread around long enough that the dread was able to actually get pulled into a despair spot. Oh, we should work. How long is this reason, Dim? You have 60 seconds left. Let's wait the 30 seconds and go after the damning evidence with everything we got. Again, I hope I'm not shooting myself in the foot by going after these guys. Like, they could be potential allies once we have a cult, which should be very soon. It'd be the perfect cover. Working for the Suppression Bureau. Meanwhile, I'm running my own cult. It's genius. We get the Queens of the Rivers, which we just studied in our other game shortly before we lost. I've decided to remain as I am for now. Okay, so this didn't yield a cult. What kind of lore? Does it need a special lore? So he's been pulled over into our temptation, which is interesting because it means it didn't pull our temptation. Let's go to work for the damning evidence, and we're gonna give him all 3 barrels. Get ready to get wrecked, Pope. We got an erudition and a barber's warning. Describes how he came. We've read that one. Okay. We would need 3 more erudition to gain anything useful from that. Barber's warning is a level 1 lore. We could just go talk about it. Maybe this will help. That's something we haven't done because in the past it's just like thrown a lot of notoriety at us. But I think I'm comfortable with it right now because we got to do something to get this playthrough moving in the right direction. The Locksmith's Dream, A Light Through the Keyhole. The first volume of Teresa Galmier's examine of parallels in the mystic dreams of artisans. I will take it. The parallels in mystic dreams experienced by carpenters, masons, and other artisans. Okay. So this, I'm assuming, is going to yield positive results. We passed that check with a single reason the last time we did it. Rivals considering an expedition. That's fine. Consider it all you want. We're about to send the boys around your apartment, bud. Work has completed. Oh, it needs to be able to pull in the culprit. Is it going to have enough time? That's a good question. I think he's going to come out of here quickly enough that it will indeed have time. Ooh, so this found an acquaintance. So it pulled in a passion. So I guess we found someone and then spoke passionately to them about Forge lore. There's another erudition and a Watchman's secret. 98 seconds. I don't have a reason to go study though, unfortunately. That's a bummer. That would have been an ideal time for that to happen. So let's do this instead. We'll grab you. I guess let's explore again while we're waiting. This yielded a restlessness, which is a bummer. We can't paint because we're busy elsewhere. Watchman's Secret is the lowest level for Lantern. It is. Get my evidence out of the way so I can start stacking these up. I wish I could just drop them all into like a folder. Like here's all my Lantern aspect. Okay, so that did get pulled over. I had enough time for him to get found and implicated in our proceedings. So he should get pinched here. And then I think that's just another huge bucket of funding. This is going to yield a location. That's a secret history. Okay, so yeah, Suppression Bureau holds their trials in closed court, disappears. Boom, get wrecked, nerd. So we got a bunch of funding. We get a favor from authority. I don't entirely know. Let's paint away this restlessness just for good measure. I don't know what purpose that's really serving for me. It is going to generate another culprit now. Interesting. When this study is up, we're going to throw both these eruditions in. Ooh, what have we found? We have found an acquaintance. I don't have a cult, though, with which to induct her. Intriguing. Okay, so we already have an acquaintance, but we don't have a cult. I don't remember how we actually found the cult. We had a dream. It occurred to me that I hold the key to wisdom. We can try dreaming about that with other aspects. The culprit, it transpires, is the audience. That gets us our occult scrap. We don't want to... Oh, we can explore with you. Yeah, because you're going to yield a location. Meanwhile, we're going to study these eruditions because they're going to turn into a lesson learned. And then we can study another reason as a follow-up and start getting towards our first permanent upgrade for reason. Because we're apparently going to need a bunch of it for this career path. I don't know. So I guess, like, I mean, we can start trying to dream this with other aspects. I will dedicate myself to the pursuit of knowledge. Oh, that one worked. Is that what we did last time? Was it the same one? Dorothy, a long in the making. Dorothy will not cease. She will never cease. She has vowed as much. Okay, cool. I found a customer. Cool. So we sold that painting, so that wound up actually paying some dividends. Love to see that. I guess let's go investigate Dorothy. I'm only going to do it with one reason because I want to have the other reasons available to study to potentially give us a lesson learned in reason. I feel like, you know, last game with the physician, I felt like I made a lot of gains after stumbling for a bit. This playthrough so far just feels like one continuous free fall stumble. Like I don't know that I'm actually accomplishing what I'm seeking to accomplish. Here's my erudition lesson learned, so we can immediately study another reason. And we have found the Strathcoins residence. So we've been there before. We did this expedition in another game. I believe it was the one we did with the physician, which yielded a ton of books. So hopefully this dream concludes in us having a cult. Once we have a cult, we can have cultists. And once we have cultists, we can send them on expeditions. I've spoken the words, each hour has its color, but color exists only where there is light. I will go to where there is light, though it bleach me to glass. Oh no, so that has just changed. Dedication, enlightenment. I have dedicated myself to the pursuit of higher understanding. I must see beneath the skin whatever the cost. This makes an enlightenment victory possible. I must be a true initiate of the Mansis. I'll need to work with lantern aspect to allow the watchman to see me. What? Okay, so we're dedicated to enlightenment. I've gone as far as I can in dream. All right, we've done that previously. So what do I actually do? I just dream about a lore? Dream with reason, dream with passion. I've like totally forgotten how you actually start your cult. Investigation turned up no new leads. So we work with lantern aspect. The final fulfillment of a desire is often a conclusion. It is not enough to hope. I stand or fail on my deeds. Desires are often the means to winning a game. The desire for sensation or power or enlightenment will require a great ritual, but there are other even rarer desires, especially if the ghoul, priest, and dancer expansions. Okay, so this needs a slot of power. We can put the lantern aspect in it. This, however, requires... The no are those who have passed the stag door. In my dreams, I found the way to the stag door, sometimes called the horn gate or the adept's door. I have answered its riddle and am counted among the no. Okay. We got that working for us. Do I just dream... I remember doing this. Yeah, and then you dream with a lore. If I engage in an occult practice before I sleep, I might find the way to dream deeper. So let's go ahead and dream with our Watchman's secret. I could sleep in a room without colors, bleach the sheets, whitewash the walls, dye my hair, and paint my skin. Well, hang on, because I think we've been... That doesn't change my text. I could cut a lock of hair before I sleep to honor a power of the wood. So this is moth aspects. I knew a man who captured moths in a bell jar. On nights like this, he would release them one by one to die in the candle. It's a wild and perilous principle of chaos and yearning. Because we've done the Watchman's cult before. That was what our first one was with Baker Logs. Let's do the moth one. Why not? I don't know what that actually does to impact gameplay. We should go back to work. to make sure that we are still making some kind of headwinds there. Once we've got a cult, we've got an acquaintance lined up. So we'll at least have our first initiate. This gives us another erudition. Yeah, okay, so immediately follow up. We need one more erudition to make another erudition lesson learned. And then we can use that to give us another permanent reason. So that'll be worth it. I don't know. So this, I guess, is just like too advanced for anything we're doing. I guess we can keep going to Moreland. So keep forgetting we're sitting on all this money. Getting paid as the inspector. Here I was saying about how it wasn't a steady source of income. We're gonna need a vitality in the chamber to fix that. The road ducks into the trees. Pale wings move deep in the wood. I am stumbling over roots now. It is tempting to drop on all fours to avoid the low branches. The moon passes behind the black leaves. Though her fingers remain in my hair, I will not forget the way to this place. So this has just yielded us the way to the wood, not a cult. Why can I not remember how that works? Well, that's fine. I'll take my way to the woods then. Thank you. Even without a cult. I'm a one-man cult. I don't even have a name for what I do yet. That has yielded a tentative evidence for us, and obviously the increased money that comes with it. Collection of essays is the kind of distilled upgrade material for reason. So there's our erudition. We'll go ahead and cash those in to get another lesson learned. What happens if I try and explore this without a cult? Together we might be more. How do I mean, I played the physician for almost two, maybe almost 3 hours. So I guess it seems kind of ridiculous to expect me to remember what the hell I'm supposed to do to actually form my cult. It's not explore. Maybe I just dream with a lore. Now I pass between scar-barked trees. The moon passes behind branches, though her fingers remain in my hair. I am stumbling over roots now. We are in Mansis. Okay, so we get an occult scrap. Peculiar rumor, perhaps? No, furtive truth. Okay. Now, I gotta be careful unlocking these locations, because it seemed like that was one of the things that our rival was looking to collect. Let's go ahead. Oh, so I can't dream with a watchman. This was only lit when we were in the act of traveling to Mansis, I guess. Take Way of the Wood up here. Man, yeah, I am so confused. My mind, the library. All right, so now let's, at the very least, this is an activity we can still remember how to use. So let's put it to use and gain our extra reason here. What happens if I just talk to you? Oh my God, is this all it took? I have to find my acquaintance and then talk to them? Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Here is someone who I might work with, a companion or a follower, but first I must give them something to follow, a society, a solidarity, an order, a cult. Man, that was a dummy move. So we now have Still just tentative evidence. Some money to be had from it. So this is going to want our founding principles. Add lore to determine your cult's founding principles. So we've done Watchman's Secret. I mean, you know, we've done them. It doesn't mean we've actually utilized them. Barber's Warning. A power of the wood enjoys the separation of the lock from the scalp. For attention, burn it. For opportunity, bury it. When we watch a fire, what are we watching for? When we find it, these are the words it will speak. A word that sanctifies the change that comes when the seared skin peels. Let's do a moth cult. A society dedicated to chaos and the unexpected hours. This is the Wildwood Club. Oh, it'll tell us what, okay, it'll tell us a little bit about what's going on. An occult society dedicated to the fire that changes and remakes. I mean, I kind of wish that we hadn't dedicated ourselves to enlightenment. Dedicated to the understanding of the light that leaks from a fiercer place. I almost feel like maybe we should do Lantern again, because I feel like that lines up with this enlightenment more. Like when we see Lantern, it's often in pursuit of knowledge. No, let's do the Wildwood Club, because I think I like the moth logo. It's as simple as that. I just need something to grasp onto at the moment. All right. Gonna have a dread get pulled in, but we do have a contentment that can go in right after it, right? Or is it gonna dissipate? You son of a bitch. You got me. Well, now that we have a cult in the works, let's go ahead and keep dreaming because we could use more cultists. The hour we will serve demands that our passions are devoted to its purpose. I must give of myself. So you want passion? Well, you got it. You want the passion? You got it. 24 seconds. All right, we'll have a chance to do an inspector's work. Here's our new reason. That's interesting. When I double clicked that earlier, it didn't go into study. I think it went into something else when we tried it last time. Here's our collection of essays. Let's go ahead and go to work on the tentative evidence. Give him everything you got. Really just let him have it. And then you want what? My first recruit? Well, that would be Rhaenyra, of course. She's going to be our founding cultist. Oh, snap. We're going to have to spend money to recover our health because I totally forgot to generate a vitality like a dummy. Let's go ahead and explore with a furtive truth, I guess, as well, just to get that working. Then what the hell? We can study this to get something else. Why not? Why not? Get all the verbs working. We don't need a buzzing in the brain. None of these were super helpful, if I'm honest, because these influences don't do a ton for us currently while we're still just stumbling around. That's okay. Let's dream of our affliction with funding to hire a doctor. The medicine is dark and bitter as tar. It would be easy to suspect I am being poisoned. We have a cult. I have founded my cult. This is a step to greater power. Use your cult to recruit and promote followers. Talk with followers about your cult to send them out on cult business. All right, so she's a Grail follower. We're going to have Grail later. Passion, a barber's warning, our temp headquarters, and then here it is, the Wildwood Club. So we are officially a cult. An occult society dedicated to chaos and the unexpected hours. You can use cults to with the talk verb to recruit or promote followers and send them out on errands. So here in the Wildwood Club with the moth aspects, our highest level cultist are skin twisters, which immediately has me regretting the choice of the moth. We're gonna go ahead and call it there. Kind of a stumbling start for Cliff. Like, that's one of the things that makes this game difficult, is when you're juggling all these plates and learning all these ways to use everything. Sometimes the basics, I guess, fall through the cracks. It was not a good look to burn our file on Jonathan Reed, but we're off and running now. We've got a cult set up, and when we come back next time, the Wildwood Club will be in full operation. If you enjoyed seeing this, make sure that you go and click subscribe down in the header below. Check me out on Twitch. Link for that is in the description of the game content. And we'll be back next time with some more Cultist Simulator and the further adventures of the Wildwood Club. Until then, be good to each other and be ruthless to those backlogs. See you guys.